and thank you for joining today's session. We're really excited to have it. The Trust Valley meets Crypto Valley is on its second season, so to say, this year. We have already organized this event together last year, and it's a really nice collaboration, bringing the two entities together. We, of course, have shared interest in furthering our space, and cybersecurity and privacy is a very important topic for the CV as well. But I think now we are seeing that a lot of attendees are joining. I would like to hand over to Lenik. Lenik, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Nikki. Dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Zug. Welcome in the heart of the Crypto Valley. Today, this is the first roadshow of our fourth season of the Tech4Trust, the startup season acceleration program of the Trust Valley. We are happy to co-organize this event with the Crypto Valley Association, and I would like to thank the Canton of Zug for hosting this virtual event, and the Crypto Valley Association with Jérôme Bailly and Nikki Xangli, who will be the master of ceremony of this roadshow. So right now, I'm honored to introduce Alberto Diaz, Deputy Head of Economics Promotion at Economic Promotion on the Canton of Zug. Alberto, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Good evening, bonsoir, guten Abend. I'd like to thank you all for the invitation. I thank you also in the name of the Canton of Zug for welcoming you virtually in our canton. Zug is the smallest canton, but however, we have a well-established and stable business environment. Among others, Crypto Valley, blockchain ecosystem, and we have also other very thriving clusters in life science, financial services, wholesales, commodities, and much more. However, today it's not just about Zug, not at all. It's actually about collaboration. It's about collaboration across the two valleys. It's Trust Valley and Crypto Valley, and how to make a difference. And to a certain extent, that reminds me, of course, of my job in the Canton of Zug. It reminds me of the Canton of Zug as well on two levels. On the first one, when we are approached by companies which are assessing the Canton of Zug, it's not just about mentioning what we as an economic promotion team we can offer. Not at all. It's actually about the collaboration we have with many service providers in our canton. So it's actually about the collaboration we have with legal offices, notaries, fiduciaries, real estate agents, insurance agents, academia, and many other service providers, or also internal stakeholders like migration office and tax authorities. So actually, if we want to convince companies, it's not just our job to show them what's around, but actually to connect them with the right people and make sure we as a whole can make a difference. Then there's another aspect. When we're approached by companies, it's never just about Zug. Actually, it's much more. It's about the greater Zurich area in which the Canton of Zug is well embedded in this economic powerhouse. So it's about how close are we to airport of Zurich? How close are we maybe to touristic attractions? How close are we to other cantons? What universities are able to provide what kind of service, or peer-to-peer relations? So in the end, it's about what we as a canton together with other cantons or as Switzerland can offer to any company, any potential client which is interested in the Canton of Zug. So I think in the end, what I want to try to say, it's what can Trust Valley and Crypto Valley offer together? How can the members benefit from both organizations? And how can we as a whole let Switzerland shine brighter? So that said, I wish you all a very interesting evening. And without further ado, I hand over back to Nikki.
Thank you, Alberto. And I think we're very lucky to be in the Crypto Valley, or we feel very fortunate to be in this nurturing environment. And you're right, Trust Valley and Crypto Valley should be working together closer because we have a lot of synergies. Now I would like to introduce our VP of the CVA board, Jérôme Bailly. He will give you a little introduction about our association. Jérôme, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Nikki. And thank you everybody for being here tonight. As you said, it's the second Crypto Valley meets Trust Valley events we do together. It's very important for me, first of all, because I'm deeply involved with the Crypto Valley, but I also live in Lausanne, where the Trust Valley started. I'm also a big supporter of the Trust Valley, and you know, from the beginning of the Crypto Valley Association, I always wanted to extend this valley from the heart where it all began. Everything began in crypto in Zug, that's true. But now we have a vibrant ecosystem everywhere in the country. So extend this Crypto Valley on all the country and connect the valleys, connect the crypto and the Trust Valley. And I'm very happy that we have this great synergy together. Yeah, let me just show a few slides for the audience who are not yet familiar with the Crypto Valley Association. You should see my screen now. All right. So yes, thanks. So I'm Jérôme. I'm the VP of the Crypto Valley. I'm also working for Adnovum, which is also in both Valley, in Zurich and in Lausanne. So the story of the Crypto Valley is almost run over the last 9 years, because everything started in Zug in 2013. You know, with the Ethereum Foundation, and now we have seen so many projects, so many advance in regulation and economic promotion, both everywhere in the country. So almost 10 years. Yeah, next year we will celebrate the 10 years of the Crypto Valley. The association has been created 5 years ago in 2017. This is an interesting study done by one of our founding members, the CVVC, CV Labs. So you see there are crypto projects everywhere in the country. Of course, still a lot in Zurich area. That's still the heart, and I think that will be still the where most of the project happen. But you can see Geneva, have also some interesting crypto projects for the association. So we are a non-profit association. We have more than 1,000 active members and 250 corporate members from startup to big companies. Some of the bigger logo we have as member everywhere in the country, but everywhere in the world. That's also something important, that our valley, the Crypto Valley and the Trust Valley, are not anymore limited to Switzerland. They are everywhere on the planet. So one member out of 3 of the Crypto Valley is outside of the country. And if you join us, you have the opportunity to join our working groups, where we create the content, we create the studies and the events, and also on the chapter level, meaning local level. And you see that we have expanded internationally this year with Middle East and South America. And of course, we are strong in Romandy with the Western Switzerland chapter, close to my heart, because I created that chapter 3 years ago. And 2 weeks ago, we had one of our first on-site event here in Lausanne with some of our corporate member based in Romandy, like Swissquote, UAdler, Swissborg, and all the logo you can see on the right of the screen. We do a lot of online events like tonight. I think since COVID happened, we had like 80 or 90 online events. You can find all the events online on our YouTube channel. We publish paper, and I have to say that our cybersecurity working group, represented tonight by Patrick, who will speak later, has done quite a lot of interesting research and paper around cybersecurity for blockchain. I think at least 2 or 3 paper this year published in cybersecurity for blockchain via our new group. And yeah, you can save the date, June 1st and 2nd. In Zug will happen again next year, the flagship event, the Crypto Valley Conference, which gather over 700 attendees on site in Zug. And yeah, last slide. It's a non-profit association. Anybody can join. Individual, startup, corporate. You can join online. Click your membership on cryptovalley.swiss, and also follow us on all the social media. So yeah, that's it for the Crypto Valley. I'm super happy to listen to all the project and to you, Nikki, to launch the event.
Thank you. I did want to give the chance to Lenik to introduce the Roadshow a little bit more. I think, Lenik, you have a few words to explain what the project is about. So
Yeah, so thank you so much, Nikki. I just want to say that we are a PPP, so the Trust Valley is a public-private partnership launched in the west of Switzerland, as said by Jérôme, and we are really close to the canton because the state of Vaud and the state and Republic of Geneva launched the Trust Valley 2 years ago, and also we work with a lot of academics such as EPFL, University of Lausanne and University of Geneva, Graduate Institute, and so on. And also in the Valley and in Neuchâtel with IDIAP and also other. And we are doing some economic development, and we are here today with the Tech4Trust, that is one of our program dedicated to startup and to help the startupper and the new project to go to the next level with fund, with talent, with client, and all relative to go to the next level in this difficult area. And this year we have 50% of Swiss startup in the program, but also 50% of international startups. So it's really great to see this program grow, and we are very happy with all the team of the Trust Valley to be here today. We will have next event during next year, so we'll be really happy to have you in all the journey of our startupers. So thank you, Nikki, and it's off. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lenny, and congratulations for all the success. It's really nice to see. So a little bit of housekeeping for today. First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Nikki Chani. I'm the executive director at the CVA. I always forget to introduce myself, so that's a common theme for me, but it doesn't matter because I'm not the star of tonight. It is going to be the startups, the 15 startups that are presenting. And to explain the framework for tonight, we have divided the startups in 3 categories. They are all about privacy, authentication, and threat detection. But we wanted to present some use cases and explain why these companies and their solutions are important. So first, in order to understand the use case, we have 3 experts that will briefly present each use case, and then we'll have in each category 5 startups that will do their pitches. And following each pitch, we'll have the expert and also a VC ask questions from each startups. So this way we have a very interactive session, and hopefully the startups will also benefit from the questions that are that the experts are presenting to them. So the first use case will be authenticity and authentication, and it will be presented by Patrick Schramberg. He is the head of key management at SDX, and he is also our very own co-chair of the cybersecurity working group. So we're really glad to have him here. Patrick, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nikki, and thank you all for joining this session. And I hope it will get interesting to show you the different new startups and what is about in their products. Just to be reminded, authentication and authenticity are different tasks and different aspects of the normal process. And authentication, you can think of that you authenticate at the server with your login, with your username and password. And on the other side, authenticity is more like the genuine and originality of a product. So just to keep this in mind. But I think that's all I would like. Let's start with the first one. And I would say, let's hand it over.
Thanks, Patrick. So our first startup to present is Authena.
Yes,
Ivan?
hello. Yes, I'm here. Hello, good evening. I hope you hear me. We are going to talk about the authenticity this time. So we are making the world a more connected, transparent, and authentic place by enabling instantaneous verified trust across the entire value chain. So our technology is already in more than 70 countries with pharma, luxury, and sports. We help brands plagued by fakes to remove this problem at the source. Counterfeiting creates every year losses of more hundreds of billions of dollars, impacting companies and society in so many different ways, and most of all, endangering human lives. We have seen that in the last years, especially during the pandemic, the amount of counterfeiting has been increasing exponentially due to the increase in online purchases. In 2021, with the explosion of the metaverse and the NFTs, the scams have moved from the physical world to the metaverse. Hello, everyone. I'm Ivan, and I'm a business development manager at Authena. Our team of visionaries, successful entrepreneurs, and in-depth vertical experts is trying to change this. So with 11 international patents combining the Internet of Things and blockchain, we deliver authenticity and traceability as a service infrastructure free. Authena Shield protects and tracks single products while engaging with the end user. Authena Meta authenticates the bridge between the metaverse and the physical world with a simple click. Authena Live monitors in real time each product across countries and distribution channels. We generate new data, we monitor in real time environmental conditions, and we collect detailed market insights, all at the product level. So reach out to know more. Thank you.
Wow, you're just right on time, Ivan. Thank you so much. So right now, I would like to let Patrick and also Lior ask questions. Lior is the director at Spartan Group, which is a VC fund. Hi, Lior, it's good to have you here. So this is the opportunity for both you and Patrick to ask any questions that you have to Authena.
Okay. If it's okay, I will just start with the first one. And for me, it's a bit this authenticity. Is this also an option to perform these scans or these controls at the border or during the transport, or is it just at the end possible option for the end user?
Well, in this case, it's just for the end user. But of course, once authenticated at the source during the whole supply chain, let's say it like this, the whole product or the whole, let's say, service can remain authenticated and can remain protected.
Okay. And second question, what was the most difficult challenges or problems during the development?
We got, to be honest, we got a grant from the Zurich University of 6 million to develop it even more, but we have managed to create an IoT device that can collect temperature, movement, humidity, and different things. And we managed to pack it in a really small box in around 5 times 5 times 3 centimeters. So actually, we can the product can be traced in different countries all over the supply chain. So the biggest challenge was how to create so many issues that this device can perform in a really small product.
Thank you.
Great. And Ivan, just to understand, I mean, what are the capital requirements that you need to take this forward, and where are you on that journey in terms of capital so far?
Well, right now, if you mean about the capitalization, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
We are right now we are in a pre-seed looking for a seed A, and we are negotiating with the different investors. Let's say that we are in a seed A round in around 60% of commitments.
And how much are you raising there?
We are raising around 30 to 40 million in this moment.
How much have you raised to date already?
Already we raised in around something like more than 5 million.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ivan and Patrick.
Welcome.
Now our next startup to present is Fidentity. Sebastian.
Thanks so much. So imagine you could onboard your new clients not only with a simple online identification for KYC, but also let them sign contracts with a smile. I'm Sebastian, and at Fidentity, we help financial service providers, such as your crypto platform, to eliminate old paper processes, to stop wasting time and money, and to automate identification and signing processes. In doing so, we create legal certainty, so your compliance officer has peace of mind and can allow your customers to sign important contracts digitally and easily. But why trust us, Fidentity? I think first, because of our expert team, and second, because our technology is certified by KPMG, so we can issue qualified electronic signatures, short QES, according to the Swiss and European regulation. With QES, you get the highest level of security and legal control, as the QES is equivalent to a handwritten signature. That means two benefits for you. The first is simplicity, because signing with us is as simple as a smile or as the last time when you signed with wet ink on paper. Second is the legal certainty. Signing with us gives you the highest level of legal certainty. Today, six Swiss banks trust our proprietary technology and appreciate this simplicity and legal compliance. Therefore, please reach out to me if you want to learn more how our technology can help you, whether you're from crypto, financial markets, or other sectors, how you can benefit from Fidentity signing and identification solution. Thank you.
Thank you. So it seems like you and Patrick might know each other already.
Not yet, but looking forward to.
Yeah, I think it's the community is still growing and small, but yeah. Just one question. So you mentioned Swiss and German and European countries. So in which other countries has this solution, or is this solution accepted?
That's a great question. For now, we are undergoing the KPMG audit for a Swiss and European qualified electronic signature, which is the signing part. And for onboarding, we are primarily focused on Switzerland, but we help Swiss banks to onboard their international clients, such as in one case, Brazilians who will onboard under the AML regulation of Switzerland.
Okay, and thanks. I think you mentioned PandaDoc as one of your clients or systems which is using your technology. And from that, what I see is you receive an email to log into the system and sign. And based on this is for me a bit, which security measures else do you have in place to ensure that the correct person is getting into the contract and signing the contract, so that not another person can counterfeit and sign on your behalf?
Right. So I'm not sure if I understood your question correctly. I think the key to highlight is that it's an on-the-fly signature where we do in one process the identification first, and once we have that, we generate the contract, we customize a PDF, and we enter the signature in there. So for re-signing, that will be another story where today DocuSign and others are strong and other players that offer different signing value proposition.
Okay.
And who are your main competitors on this front, Sebastian?
So I would say in Switzerland, number one is Intrum with ID Now as technology provider.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. If there are no other questions, then we can move on to ID Easy. Marcus, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. I strongly believe that the way of document signing will be turned upside down in a very short future. Currently, the most common way of signing documents is mouse drawings copy-pasted into the PDF files. And at the same time, most people already have some app on their phones that enables them to create secure and qualified electronic signatures with very low friction, for example, like identity. In Switzerland, I can bet that 95% of you have Swiss ID or Swisscom apps on your phone already. And signatures created with those solutions have highest legal value and are guaranteed to hold up in court without any additional evidence. And eID Easy is a marketplace for secure electronic signatures. Each country has a few different trust service providers that issue digital certificates for document signing. In Europe, there are over 200 of them. And all over the world, we'll find thousands of digital signature solutions. Because of the fragmentation, complexity and cost, no business can integrate all of them on their own. With eID Easy, it is possible to create one simple integration, and all of these trust service providers are immediately available. Our main customers are signature portals like DocuSign and all of their competitors. Our segment is big international companies who have operations in many different countries. There is very strong demand in our services, and we are looking for 1.5 million euros to speed up the integration work, cover more countries, and provide even better service to our customers. So thank you. I'm eID Easy CEO, Margus Pala.
Thank you, Marcus. Patrick Lior.
Okay, thank you. I think based on this, I would say, how many customers are there currently? Do you have currently?
We have over 100 different active customers who are paying us monthly, and we have quite a lot of big signature portals already launched or live. The biggest one is actually Adobe Acrobat Sign, who is setting up in staging right now and should come online shortly.
Okay. And you keep the logs, all the transaction of what happened and behind this. Is this something you take care specially, or is it, how do you handle these logs and the history of the transactions to make sure that it's not counterfeited or modified afterwards?
In qualified electronic signatures, there is no additional evidence needed. If you present a file with qualified electronic signature, it is already there. And I mean, it's very highly specified and regulated industry, so you know exactly how to verify it and what to do. And so it's either qualified signature or it's not. So,
okay.
And how big is the organization today? I mean, how many people are you?
Currently, we are 6 people working on this product right now.
Okay, and you're raising funds currently?
We are raising around 1 to 2 million. It's like around 1.5 million. In the end of Q1, we target to close down.
Yeah, great. Are you familiar with Signatus, which I mean recently was acquired as well in Switzerland? I mean, is your solution competitive, similar to that, or in a different direction altogether in terms of with the other 200 service providers you work with?
Signatus doesn't ring a bell, but Scribble is somebody we started working with to get them to be our customer.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Marcus. Our next startup is Passy, presented by Francesco.
Thank you. At Passy, we do 3 things. We identify users using state-of-the-art technology. we check users can do what they want to do, and we guarantee users the performance of the requested operation, plus providing them a wide array of possible functions, all within a safe platform. We are based on a concept of digital identity. Our digital identity is stored on the person's mobile phone, and before issuing a digital identity, we identify them. For company employees, we use their company credentials through Active Directory. For visitors, we guide them through a process of self-registration with the use of our kiosk, scan their ID, and then match their face with the picture on the ID. When a user makes a request, it is signed with a tuple generated from their digital identity and their device ID. The signature of every request includes a timestamp that is checked for validity, and the HMAC ensures that the origin of the request and the fact that the request is not duplicated or forged. Each request is treated on the basis of the current version of the applicable policies and permissions that the user holds, and we consider factors like user, position, type of action, or device. If necessary, those permissions can be updated on the fly and can even be subject to other external factors, not only time and date, but also things like the presence of a specific person, number of person in the room, and this is what we call context-based dynamic policies. We believe PASI is a safe platform to make your building smarter and secure.
Thank you, Francesco. Patrick, Lior, you can ask your questions now.
Yes, thank you. Just question, you mentioned safe platform, since I consider it must be very safe and secure to not allow counterfeiting, manipulations, and other. What exactly, can you explain a bit what you did here to make it safe?
Yes, well, the architecture that we are based on helps us to guarantee our security. Alessandro, who's our technical director, you want to add a bit more?
Yes, we guarantee, as Francesco told before, we guarantee the authentication, but only we guarantee that every request has done not a lot before the time that we receive the request, only a few seconds. And second, every request it cannot be replicable. So we are sure that is made by what we think that is the people and the user that make the request. So we work against the middle and the man in the middle. So no one can put in the middle and make the request again. And then we recognize not only the user, but the device ID, because our key by which we sign the request is based on these two factors. If I have two devices, I have two different key. And then we can do also one more, then we can avoid that a user can have more than one cellular phone. So this is something that the enterprise, the company can choose. Only one cellular phone or more than one. But as I told before, we recognize also the device and the identity.
Okay. In your setup, in the test pictures, I saw something. Do you also use private personal identifying data in your system, or is it somehow decoupled from the personal identification information of the person?
The requests are only signed with this key, so we do not need to pass on personal data with the request, and that provides us protection from privacy issues.
Thank you.
How many customers do you have today? I mean, what stage of production are you in?
We are already selling our system, and we actually have two different channels. We have professional installers channel, smaller customers, of which we have about 100, and we have the business enterprise side, of which we have about 10.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Francesco. Our next startup to present is Austrion, and the presentation will be done by Tomer.
Thank you, Nikki. Austrion is the only digital inheritance system that was designed by cybersecurity experts. It gives you the control on your assets, allowing you to protect them and create your own automated digital inheritance mechanism. So my name is Tomer Ochayon, and I'm the CTO of Austrion. As a cybersecurity guy, as a crypto guy in this conference, we are all aware of the risk of saving and securing our security phrases, regardless of if it's a cold or hot wallet. And also we are all aware of the lack of the true automated backup system existing today, and the fact that in many cases, your relatives can't really get access to your digital assets in case of a tragedy or emergency. So when the time comes, everybody wants the relative to inherit their digital and tangible assets in a secured way. And this is what Austrion is allowing you to do with a deadman switch and keep alive checkups using quantum proof encryption for your data. In Austrion, the authentication is the key, literally, because
Okay, I think we may have lost Tomer because I do not hear him.
Can you hear me?
Back.
Now you're back again.
Sorry. So I will be back to the last sentence. In Austrion, the authentication is the key, literally, because we're a zero trust and zero knowledge system. The private encryption key of the customer is never shared with us. It means that your key creates one authentication hash and one decryption key. The challenge and the creative solution in our case is actually not about customer authentication, but about beneficiaries authentication and when you lost access. Because beneficiaries never subscribe to our platform, their authentication is based on multiple factors that they know, something that we are providing them automatically, and someone they know, which is our customer. They have a limited time window to take those actions, and which makes it like very extremely hard for an attacker to perform collection reconnaissance for so many factors in this short time, and from few different parties. So for your personal recovery process, by the way, it's super simple. The system considers you as the first priority beneficiary for your assets, and you can access your data as a beneficiary or to watch your own inheritance mechanism. So as we are saying, it's your crypto, it's your asset, and it's your family. Take care of them. So thank you, and feel free to reach out for some questions.
Thank you. Very interesting. Just a question, when you are working with cryptos, it's normally happens this way, that you buy cryptos, you sell cryptos, you create a new wallet. So it's a constant change and a constant update. Does your service also include that you regularly update and add additional information to it to keep it up to date?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, we are even encouraging you to do so because you want your digital inheritance to be always updated for your beneficiaries. By the way, not only for your digital assets, but also for your tangible assets. If you are buying and selling assets, you need it as well. And the traditional will that you're going to court and going to a notary is not relevant today. And that's exactly what we are doing in Austrion. You can update it as much as you want, and you have your keep alive checkups that are reminding you also that this system is existing, checking that you are still alive, and have you just updated your assets to the most relevant one.
Okay. And second question is, are you having an insurance or mechanism to ensure that you are also always up and alive, and that your company is also stable and continuously available? I think we lost you.
Me now?
Yeah.
I'm sorry for my internet connection. I don't know what happened today. Supposed to be fiber. So it's a good question. Yes, we have a guarantee and insurance for 100 years of activities with a third parties that even if we will stop our activities from no matter what reason, the service will be kept alive for 100 years by this third party, trusted third party, exactly for the reason that when you're taking our services, it's not for 5-10 years ahead. You want it for life. And that's what we want to guarantee for you.
Thank you.
And just a final question quickly. I mean, in terms of your funding and stage, I mean, what's the current round size that you're looking to raise? Unfortunately, lost him again.
Lost him again.
Okay, let's give it a couple of seconds. Okay,
yeah, sorry. So we are bootstrapping currently. We are launching the product in 1 month from now. We have currently enough money for the development and for the first marketing phase, but we want to raise a pre-seed of $1 million in the next 1 year.
Great.
Great.
Thank
Wow,
you.
we were so perfectly on time. Actually, we're a bit early. So if there are any more questions, let me know. We can ask right now, Lior. But otherwise, maybe now that we have a couple of seconds, do you want to introduce yourself real quick, Lior?
Sure,
and
apologies.
what Spartan does?
Sure, apologies, I was a minute or two late to the session, but I did catch all five of you. My name's Leo Groen. I'm from Australia originally, been living in Switzerland since 2016, where I've been working full-time in the crypto space. At Spartan Group, we're one of the leading institutional asset managers in the space. We run a hedge fund, 2 venture funds, to back entrepreneurs fully dedicated to crypto. So we're founded by former Goldman partners who came into the space, and we currently manage about $500 million in assets. So very excited about what we're seeing here in terms of, one, the strength of the community ecosystem that's still building, irrespective of what's happening in the crypto, let's say, digital asset markets. But really, these are the Horizon 2 opportunities that get us excited and the reason why that we're here. So we have one venture fund dedicated fully to DeFi and a second fund dedicating to gaming and metaverse opportunities. So very much investing across the board, and we'll certainly be following up with many of you today.
Very cool. And I'm very happy to hear that you have a positive outlook, and obviously we have all felt the latest news in the crypto and blockchain space from FTX, but we try to have a positive outlook for next year, and I think we're going to we'll be going strong despite everything, and that's good that you're sharing the same sentiment. Thanks, Lior, for being here, and I'm sure some of the startups will reach out to you afterwards. And thank you, Patrick, as well, for being our expert here today. Now we can move on to our second use case, which is data security. And our expert for the data security topic will be Sylvester Basso, and he is the crypto locksmith at Signum Bank. And I definitely want to hear more about what this means, because it's a very intriguing title, Sylvester. So hope you will let us in on that secret. And our VC, who will be supporting with questions today, is Pierre Jevet, and he's the investment manager from Serpentine Ventures. Sylvester, the floor is yours to introduce our second use case.
Sure. Well, sorry, the role behind the name is not as fancy, and I'm a security professional. I'm working in the CISO team at Signum Bank, and I've seen my share of products and processes over the years. And so it will be my pleasure to challenge your pitches today about the data protection and security. I can give you a few questions to answer, but I've seen that generally you have your pitch in mind. So maybe just one thing that's been on my mind since a long time, and things that's been around, and just keep it in your mind, but go wherever you want. Something that's been challenged is, how do you enable conveniently and securely sharing files with third parties? So not inside the organization and between organization, for example. Another one that's been challenging in Switzerland is how to use cloud-born tools without infringing like Swiss banking requirements, which are coming to crypto. So you may want to keep that in mind. And one last one that's kind of related, and if but I'm asking you again, is if you have any solutions to allow my colleagues to work from different locations without having to think and go through hoops or multiple hoops. There you go.
Thank you, Sylvester. So same as for the previous use case, we'll have 5 startups to present. And after each of their presentations, we'll have Sylvester and Pierre ask questions. Pierre, do you want to quickly introduce yourself as well?
Sure. I'm originally from France. Been in Switzerland for the last 11 years, between Switzerland and the US. As mentioned, I'm investment manager at Serpentine, where I invest through pre-seed to Series B startup with quite a broad focus, everything but the life science, investing in Switzerland, Europe, US, and Israel. And maybe to add a few points to Signum from our perspective, also what is very complex to grasp is how the sales cycle is tackled in a larger corporate, especially when introducing a new type of technology.
Very cool. Thank you. And we're really glad to have you here. Hopefully you will find many interesting projects among the 15 startups today. So our first startup to present is Snowpack, and Frederick will take the stage to tell us a little bit about the company.
Yeah, hi. Today, cybersecurity paradigm relies on trust. If you think about it, trust means dependency, which is not very good when you're talking about your own security. And second, the chain of trust is a little bit like a house of cards. One vulnerability and it crumbles. So that's why in Snowpack, we're making users, devices, and data invisible on the network, so that even if there's one vulnerability somewhere in the chain of trust, no one can exploit it in order to reach into your data on the network. And to do that, we're deploying and operating the first invisibility over the network, which that we call the SNO, which has unique properties in terms of anonymization. We do no trusted third-party anonymization. We introduce the notion of quality of security, meaning that you can measure and control what the computing power is required by an attacker. And we are hiding attack surface, and man-in-the-middle attack are impossible. And out of this network, we've developed a couple of plans, whether for own application for anonymity reasons, like dark snow for government agencies or agents, or the core of our business, which are our SDK, ProSnow and Rings, where we enable software editors or critical infrastructure to embed our own layer into their own infrastructure or own software. For example, for ProSnow, we're doing point-to-point. For example, for not trust third-party DNS or VPN, you don't have to trust your VPN provider. And for Rings, we are enabling, so it's point to multi-point, so multicast, we're enabling users to use applications as Visio without a trusted third party, or share information without having to trust anyone. For example, we're doing that with cyber threat intelligence and in banking for fraud detection and money laundering and terrorist financing. Thank you.
Thank you, Frederick. Sylvester, Pierre, would you like to ask your questions?
So if you don't, so I understand the concept is not to trust anyone. So how do you recognize then, like, my own personal?
So in fact, you don't trust, the user don't need to trust anyone. Afterward, you need to add authentication, because, for example, if Alice wants to talk about with Bob, Alice and Bob will know each other, but they don't need to trust anyone, including Snowpack or their provider of the VPN, for example. They don't need to trust them, because even Snowpack or even the VPN provider won't be able to hack into them.
How do you prove who you are then?
It's
a token or like?
No, it's from application level between Alice and Bob. There is the application level and the network level. On the network, you don't need to trust anyone. You don't need to trust the infrastructure, including Snowpack. We don't know what's happening on the network. But afterward, of course, Alice needs to authenticate Bob, which is, but this is something at the application level.
Okay.
From my end, maybe a question that I would have for you is who are your targeted customer and what pushes them to come to you instead of going through, let's say, a traditional VPN or secured environment that they may have already?
So typically it's software editors. For example, we're working with the French, French, as my accent may reveal it, the French VPN, which is the Greenbow. We're working with them. Today, if you're using the Greenbow, you need to trust the Greenbow. You need to trust the ANSI, Visa, and everything. By embedding a Snowpack inside this VPN, you don't even need to trust the Greenbow anymore. You know that even the Greenbow, if there's any gets compromised, he won't. The attacker won't be able to hack into the communication. The same we're doing for this with alternative for a secure DNS. Today, a secure DNS, for example, is Cloudflare. Today, you need to trust Cloudflare. If Cloudflare want to direct you on a phishing site, or it can do it. Cloudflare doesn't want to do this probably, but someone who hacks into Cloudflare can do it. If you with alternative, even if alternative get compromised, you do not have any risk because they won't be able to make targeted attacks against you. So these are the main actors. For the point-to-point, for the point-to-multipoint, typically we're working with banks in order to, they are developing some application and we increasing their privacy, invisibility level while exchanging information.
Right. And Frederick, I think we have a question from the audience. I do not know what it exactly means, but I'm sure you will know. Michael is asking, does it mean that you have to have an OOB channel?
Yeah, so of course at the application level, there need to be some check for example, if Alice want to talk to Bob, that indeed I'm Alice and you are Bob. But this is at the application level. But on the network level, it's really Alice and Bob against the world, and they don't need to trust anyone, even us. So of course you need to add afterwards some features which are more at the application level.
Great. Thank you so much, Frederick.
You're welcome.
Our next startup is Synergy Quantum, presented by Jay. Jay.
Hi, everyone. So can I start?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Jay O'Brien. I'm the founder of Synergy Quantum. So we're passionate about quantum communication technologies. It's a big value chain, but basically we start off with post-quantum encryption, but we're doing a lot of research in quantum key distribution to quantum satellite, and then finally my favorite, which is quantum teleportation. Now, all these things may seem far away. The most important technology that exists today that we can actually use is post-quantum encryption. So in fact, this whole story came to us 4 years ago when we were founded, because we come from private wealth management. And we felt that all of money in the future will be all digitalized. So we must secure it. Since we lost the Swiss banking secrecy, we might as well work on data privacy. So that's when we started working on post-quantum encryption. We hired some scientists from CERN to work with us because we're based out of Geneva. We signed an agreement with the Indian government on post-quantum encryption and on quantum communications. So we're working on all these technologies with the Indian government and their various ministries and educational facilities. So it gives us a pretty good background on what to do. So we started this 4 years ago. Now we have post-quantum encryption end-to-end done. So we have a full messaging app. We have full technologies that allow us to communicate securely using post-quantum encryption. Our algorithm that we work with is nothing is a black box. So it's an algorithm that exists, which is Kyber, which was actually approved by NIST this year as the #1 post-quantum encryption secure algorithm. We started using that 4 years ago. So that's all done. And the important part is that how do we use post-quantum encryption today? Where can you use it? We work with a European chip manufacturer, one of the largest, and we've developed our entire layer on top of the secure chips so that we can actually send information from one chip to another securely. So the entire tunneling is also post-quantum. We can use it on drones. We can use it on GPS systems. So that's how we started working on this. And now we're working with banks and mostly with defense ministries on these various technologies.
Very nice. Thank you, Jay. Sylvester, Pierre, feel free to ask your questions.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I have a question here. So I understand that your solution is to encrypt data in motion, right? And now you also develop the algorithm, or is it public? It's not very clear to me. What's your, like, what are you doing? Are you working on the implementation part, or yeah?
Yeah, no, the algorithm is Kyber Chrysler, which is basically off the shelf, so it's not ours. That's a post-quantum algorithm, but how you put it together with architecture is important. What I did mention is this data at rest, but we do it for data centers too. So actually working on 2 major data centers on putting on post-quantum encryption on there. So we could come to your bank, for example, secure the entire data of your customers with post-quantum encryption and give you a messaging app between yourself and your customers to communicate securely, which is totally under your control.
Okay, so you're publishing apps which are using this algorithm, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And so how do you test such algorithm? Because they're a bit new, right, out there. So how do you find people who could find bugs and like that kind of things in there?
Yeah, you're right, Sylvester. We don't know, right? So when NIST, which is the ultimate, because there's no standards on quantum technologies at the moment, right? So NIST, being the #1, has done testing for now, what, 7, 8 years. They've been having a competition on it. So they started off with 86, then 32, then 24 algorithms, and 7, and now they just announced the last 2 or 3. So we're in that. So what we picked has been actually picked as one of the best and most strongest algorithms that exist. Now, the advantage that we have, and because obviously we knew that there would be questions like yourselves to people like us, is that it's a plug and play. So our entire architecture works that if we need to replace an algorithm quickly, we can do it within 24 hours.
All right.
Because it's a fast-moving world, and we understand that.
Pierre, maybe?
Since your client are, you mentioned banks and a defense ministry, and how long is it for them to implement such a solution? Because I would assume they're more traditional, not so digital, you know. And how much traction do you have with such a customer?
Okay, so no, it's because it's a case-by-case basis, and it's a solution that we provide versus a product. So it'll take time, but it's a layer that we put on top of what the existing situation is. So, and there, you know, to be honest with you, there is no one doing really a secure messaging app within the banks. So next year we're targeting the major banks, but today we're working with State Bank of India, which has 430 million users. But it's not that complicated. It's a couple of months because it's just a layer on top. It's the software.
And traction-wise, where do you stand so far? Like, how many customers do you have?
Right. So far, we've been working on research development and working with these people on providing them a solution. Next year is when we start actually providing the service as a pay service. So by next year, we'll have a few million in revenues.
Oh, perfect.
It's charity right now. We call it
client acquisition.
But you know, the fact is that we've had a Symphony call us up a month ago. We had a conference call with them. Symphony is a messaging app that is owned by Goldman Sachs, Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, and Citibank in New York. And they came to us and said, "We've heard about your post-quantum encryption, and we would like to see if we can work with you on putting it on our app." So there's already traction from people listening, hearing about what we're doing, which actually they don't have in the US. It's a very European.
How will you scale with all the demand, you know, because you would need, I assume, a lot of manpower, no?
Yeah, so I get a lot of people asking me, who's your competition? And there's quite a few companies coming up with post-quantum encryption. I think it'll become a commodity within a few years. So we have very little time left. But frankly, every country in this world needs to become quantum ready. right? Quantum readiness programs are billions of dollars in most countries. So they'll be begging for, right now we have to convince them why quantum is important. I think in a few years they'll be begging us. So even if there were 10,000 companies like us, we won't be able to fill the demand. There's no way.
Very cool. So Jay, we have a question from the audience, but to be fair and to make sure that we're on time, how about we come back to this question later on at the end of the case, once the other 3 startups presented. You can also feel free to respond in the chat, and for the attendees or the audience, please feel free to put your questions either in the Q&A box or the chat. Everybody can see it, so we can all respond to it. Our next startup is Merthel Security, and Danielle will present for us. Danielle, are you ready to go? I don't think we can hear you yet, so let's just make sure that you unmuted yourself.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
So we develop an open source and easy to use framework for confidential data collaboration. To understand, let's talk about a real use case. For instance, David is the head of a platform that collects pacemaker data. They provide an AI to help follow doctors follow patients, and data was collected to help these patients. But now David wants to open access of the platform to outside researchers. But how to do it? Current solutions provide no privacy mechanisms when opening data to outside researchers, such as with a Jupyter notebook. Once a dataset is exposed, it becomes easy to exfiltrate it, and therefore no legal nor privacy claims can be made. That's why we provide Bastion Lab, which is a solution that filters data scientist queries. We provide a kind of layer that controls and minimizes data exposure to the bare minimum, for instance, with allowing only aggregated results or differentially private results to be communicated to the data scientist. We use different techs such as confidential computing and different privacy to provide privacy guarantees to the data owner. Data can be anonymized on the fly, which helps data scientists leverage fine-grained data. Thanks to our solution, the platform that David operates can now open access of the solution to outside researchers while maintaining compliance with regulation, as only anonymized data leaves the platform. Our solution covers today different steps of the data pipeline, from data explorations to cleaning and training, and we have customers in security, advertising, and are onboarding clients in healthcare.
Thank you so much, Danielle. Sylvester, Pierre, do you have any questions?
Sure. So currently, have you worked with banking data, or is it for healthcare only? What's your... Yep.
It could work. Our commercial focus has not been on bank yet, but definitely we see interest there. We recently talked actually today to a privacy officer in an insurance company, which is not the same, but I guess it's overall the same field, and they are quite interested. And so we are starting to put a little bit of commercial effort there.
How do you make sure that the data set is still usable? Because we've seen like tokenization of data, but it kind of makes the data useless. So how does it work?
So the idea is that locally, the data scientist never has access to data in clear. It just has a pointer to remote data set. So remote data set is untouched. But the idea is that the data scientist interacts with a somewhat limited but explosive interface, so that it can send computation to be done there directly with raw data, but to make sure that only, for instance, aggregated results or differentially private results are shown to him.
Oh,
so
sorry. I misunderstood. So he will still see the real data, but it won't be there.
So he only sees the results of the queries, because actually data scientists don't often care about reading specific lines. They only care about the
aggregate data.
Yeah, exactly. So we make sure that only that kind of results can be shown by restraining the operations that can be done. But we still want to provide something that is kind of smooth and interactive. If you want, actually, the project is open source, and I can show it to you and in the chat if you want to have a look.
Right. Yes, because then just could the scientist still query like a list of data points, or would that only work with aggregated data?
So the idea is that the data owner defines the privacy policy and says what is safe. For instance, you can say only queries with at least 10 people in the sample can be extracted. So it will provide the privacy policy. But to make it usable by data scientists, if we go outside of this safe zone, we can provide a default behavior, which can be I'll reject everything that is not aggregated, or I could wait for the approval, or I can accept it and red flag it. So it depends on how the data owner wants to share data.
I see questions in the chat, but maybe you want to take that on flying, or Pierre, please go ahead. I don't want to take all the time.
No, I just have one super quick question, since you went for the use case in the healthcare space, where, I mean, of course, the data privacy is a key concern. I think a bit less bank in Switzerland, let's say. Why did you choose this this space, and what are the typical use cases that your potential customer would do with it?
So we see two value proposals. The first one is to unlock a value, unlock value by sharing data to someone else. And for instance, it's actually a real use case we see with a platform that has structured data, but now they are the face of opening access to it. And for privacy reasons, they need a solution like ours. And in healthcare, this is a case that often comes up. And sorry, I forgot the other part of the question.
So why healthcare, and what are the use case for your customers? Is it more research related? Do they want to build other products?
So it's mostly research. Actually, we started from the end, which is deployment, but we saw that actually people needed to do the earlier stages of analysis. And actually makes sense because you cannot do deployment or deploying training if you haven't cleaned the pipeline or done exploration, visualization, and so on. That's why we shifted our focus to more, covering the earlier stages. And a lot of times it's not necessarily complicated computation. It can be simply, do some statistical test or simple estimators. But today there is no such solution that is privacy by design to answer that need.
Thank you so much, Danielle. And thanks for the questions, Pierre and Sylvester. Our next startup is Allpriv, and Michael will be presenting their project to us.
Hello, I will talk about two of our solutions we are bringing to the market. The first one is this device dedicated to protect medical devices. Actually, they are 80% concerned in the cyber attacks to hospitals. What's the issue here? You have this kind of medical devices like a 5 million euros scanner running under Windows XP. They have no protections. And as you can see, all the cyber attacks on hospitals right now, it's proving that the security deployed is not working for these devices, because security, something like firewalls and things like that, they are considering medical devices like computers, but they are not. So our target customers for this, the traction is coming from one side, from hospitals, all these thousands of medical devices deployed, and the other one is the medical devices manufacturers. They need to have a cybersecurity expert because they are experts in what the business, what they are doing, not in every field. Second product I wanted to talk, it's this one, which is protection for remote working. Here, the challenge is how to work remotely easier and safer than we have today. We are replacing with this solution, which is their endpoints zero trust, managed by AI and blockchain. The idea is we create a very strong authentication. We have the communication and everything encrypted. So bringing more than 90% faster for the user and increasing more than 25% for the CISO, the security. So I don't know if I have some no more seconds. So the idea is security is separated from production, so users can access. We are not installed all the competition, our VPNs, our authentication software. Everything is installed on the laptop. So you can be hit by OS like Windows issues, but also because the user is accessing this. So you can see both of the solutions are awarded by CS, and we are having support from European Commission, and we have launching different international patents. Sorry, I'm looking at.
Very nice. Thank you, Mikael. Sylvester?
Right. Yeah. So is your device actually like a VPN endpoint? Sorry, I'm not really sure. So the first item is really a medical device, and my experience there is a bit limited. But in terms of like enterprise enablement, can you tell me, like, for example, what's the difference between like passwordless authentication and that kind of things?
What you have here inside is for user is a single sign authentication, so SSO, but the EI is managing a multi-factor. So instead, let's take a company, so for example, that company, they are using Symantec VIP access with the token on the phone. They are using the Cisco AnyConnect VPN, and they are using F5 firewall. For the users, remote users, that means 4.5 minutes and 10 operations from the starting the computer to start working. We bring this to 3 seconds and only 1 step. User has no more passwords, no Wi-Fi, no authentication, no credentials. Everything is inside, so he has strong authentication and he has the Wi-Fi. He has even 5G or LAN connection. So everything from the once the user is authenticated, all the next steps are done automatically by the device. So you have to imagine this like working, for example, for a bank, the headquarters and a subsidiary. The subsidiary, the users has the computers, and there is a small server doing all the stuff in a corner of the subsidiary. It's exactly the same. Nothing on the production, nothing on the laptop. We don't trust the laptop. We don't trust the user. We don't trust the network. Everything is completely closed in a blockchain network with to deploy everything from the endpoint of the device to the different servers. Also, one of the other points is for a big problem. Actually, more than 60% of the employees leaving a company, they still having some different access to the former company, because they have different access to different services. When they are quitting, the company thinks about to close some access, but not all the time. Or so you can consider this like the keys of the car. When you are quitting, you give back the device, and there is no more access for the user.
What if the card gets stolen or duplicated?
You remember Mission Impossible? So the EI is working all the time. If you try to hack, if you try to open, the device will be automatically destroyed.
And stolen?
The same. Once you start trying to make different tentative of authentication at a certain number of steps of mistakes, he will also block and even go to destruction, depending the company policy.
Well, we could go on for some time here, but I see we're almost 6:45. So, Pierre?
Maybe just one quick question. What's your business model? How do you make money?
The model is HaaS, hardware as a service. So we deliver the devices to the user. We deliver the servers to different places on cloud and premise servers, and they pay for the monthly use, because there is the hardware, but also a lot of services we can deliver to them.
And what would be the typical package that you would?
It's like how to ask the price of a car, the difference between a Twingo and a Rolls Royce. But it's something like $12 for a standard, because we have storage. We can go to up to 1 tera storage, but which are standard 64 gigas. Let's say for something standard basic, it's around $12, including the maintenance of the of the devices on site.
Thank you,
Our
Mika.
partners.
Unfortunately, we have to move on because we are now behind schedule officially. Our next presenter is Mahendri, and he will introduce us to SQL.
Thank you. Cyber attacks. While large companies can afford large security companies' services, what does an SME need to do to face the current multiple cyber attacks? Does it need to perform pen testing, externalization of backups, patching, monitoring third parties, web filtering, phishing campaigns? Actually, it needs to do all of that. And all of that needs to be done on a regular basis. But what about the budget? Could an SME afford large company solutions and all the time it takes to find all the necessary solutions? No. That is the reason why we built 3 standard logical packages with all of these solutions that will allow companies to improve their level of information security maturity. First package is an initial audit. Second one is implementing all the minimum technical measures. And the last one is implementing all the organizational measures in which an SME could afford having all these necessary solutions. And all of the results of these efforts can be imported in a single dashboard, which we call SQL ISMS for Information Security Management System. And if the company is not really interested in seriously reducing the risks of a cyber attack, it could be interested in getting a return on security investment by using our full set of solutions and therefore getting an ISO 27001 certification. So why wouldn't SMEs deserve a minimum viable cyber defense? My name is Mahendri, founder and CEO at SQL, and would be very happy to discuss more with you.
Thank you, Mahendri. Sylvester, Pierre, would you like to ask your questions now?
Sure. So what's the difference between your product and the GRC tool?
Actually, we have developed our own Swiss-made phishing campaign platform. So it's a SaaS platform, and the GRC is based on ISO 27001 standard, and we gathered all the information from different tools, and we gather everything there, and it's also a system which will help the person who is accountable for the information security to know when he should do what. And when you come with this tool to an audit, you can get like easily certified with that.
Right. So my question was like, if I go for ServiceNow and I got an ISO 27001 package, what's the difference? Except cost, maybe, but
it's based on the controls, and the difference is we have it's an API based system. And then you can gather all of the information, for example, from a syslog, from the results from the phishing campaign tool, and from different tools, for example, externalization of backups. I can see if the backups is okay or not. So it's not just like entering some data in that. It really gathered all the measures from different tools.
And so you
provide, based on the APIs.
Right, but do you provide integration out of the box, or do the APIs need to be programmed for each endpoint that they need to collect data from?
It's already provided because we use MSP solutions, and we are able to directly connect the results from the different platforms into one platform. So actually, the person who is accountable doesn't need to go to like 10 different platforms and get each report.
All right.
How do you scale such a business, since it's more consultative driven than product driven?
It's because we use the the package. So the second package is really the scalable package actually. So there's like MSP solutions. So we are able just to install agent on the servers as well as on the different endpoints. And this is the scalable part of what we do. But of course, the last part is with a lot of, as you said, consultancy. So for this, we need like people, but we try to industrialize at the maximum what we do in there. But the second package is like scalable.
And do you need to do the audit anyhow to sell the second package?
First of all,
would it be a part that you can get rid of and really focus on the second package?
Actually, companies come to us because they see that we have this package, ask us how they can get it directly, and we can like install it without having the audit first. But actually, the audit is necessary if they want to go for the third package then. And from time to time, companies do not come to us for the whole packages, but each solution can be sold individually. So for example, the phishing campaign platform, it's scalable because actually we sell like licenses, and it's the same for the ISO 27001 tool. We sell the licenses, so we do not to do the consultancy part of what we do, but we can sell it with no limit.
Great, thank you so much, Mahendri. Now we have our third use case, which is threat and attack detection. And our expert for this use case will be Florent Bichy. He is the Chief Information Security Officer at Cyber Peace Institute. Florent, we're very excited to have you introduce us to the use case.
Well, thank you for inviting me. This is my first time, so I hope I'm going to be as good as you guys, because I'm very impressed with the startup I've seen right now so far. Yes, my name is Florent. I work for the Cyber Peace Institute. The Cyber Peace Institute is an NGO based in Geneva. It's created 3 years ago. It's a cybersecurity NGO. What we do more or less is we help others NGO to protect themselves from cyber attacks. And by that, we have an assistance team all around the world that connect to the NGOs on the ground, and they help them to recover from cyber attacks, and they help them to provide more security on their IT. And we have analysts as well that works on data sets we receive from partners. And we analyze those with dashboard and EI, and we try to find some trends and some information we can give back to the NGOs to protect them from future attacks. And I'm pretty happy to talk about threat and attack detection, because this concerns us every day. And if I can find a proper solution today, I will be very happy among all those startups, because right now I would say it's a bit of a mess about threat and attack detection, because for me it should alert for potential occurrence cybersecurity intruders or malicious entities. So you have two parts on that. You have the threat, and which is a potential risk of attack, and I want to be aware of that. And it can be on your infrastructure, it could be on your staff, it could be on your code. And if you don't fix it, then you will have the second part, the attack. And I definitely want to be aware of it as soon as possible. And all our infrastructure and all our IT are on the cloud. And now we depend on every third part. We are on Google Cloud, we are on Azure, we are on AWS, we have John Cloud, we are SSO identity somewhere else, and everything is connected. So it's kind of a mess. I would say when an attacker tries to attack you, he tries to remain unseen until his goal is accomplished. And the reason why they are unseen, there's nothing to do with their craft. I think most of the time they are unseen because most of the organization IT is a big mess. And despite all the automation you can have, SIAM, malediction activity will still rely on people. So the threat and attack detection is the core of what's going on right now in our cloud platform and infrastructure. And all the platform we have, they have they have all of them they offer tool detections, but the customers, they are responsible to configure the tools. And most of them, I mean, if you use cloud-based solution, that means most of the time you are short staff and you don't have security expert to do the security. So you rely on them and you don't do it properly, and there you become vulnerable. That's why I'd be glad to hear about all those companies you will see, because they are quite nice solution to fix this.
Thank you, Florent. Well, then let's dive into these startups and solutions, starting with Costacy. William, the floor is yours.
Fantastic. Okay, so the majority of cyber criminals move around the network for hundreds of days to carry out their attack. Hundreds of days. And that's why network detection has become a pillar of modern protection. And so we're Costacy, and we're a network detection and response solution. And our philosophy is to use artificial intelligence to better detect persistent threats, but also to reduce cognitive load of analysts. So we don't want to show everything on the screen or too much information. We want analysts to be able to really focus on only serious threats. So to do that, what we did was to develop a sophisticated artificial intelligence solution. There's what you can see on the screen, where basically it's a group of artificial intelligences, and each AI works at a different timescale. So for example, you have an AI that specializes in looking at milliseconds. So for example, packets that are going through a network, and it goes all the way to looking at the biorhythm of assets across weeks and months, and sort of learning how they naturally work and trying to detect anomalies there. So our approach was that we first built the AI in our own lab. And once we were satisfied with how the AI was performing in terms of false alerts, especially, we then built the whole stack behind that. So that allowed us to give us a lot of visibility into the different solutions. So we use serverless inference, which costs a lot less. We have a specialized data lake that works on time stream data very well. And of course, we believe that confidence is key. So our AI solution also allows you to drill down to understand exactly what factors the AI made its decision on, to understand what the model was and how exactly it made that decision. And we believe that integration, of course, is key. So we have a format of attack that allows us to integrate using syslog or other solutions into almost any environment. Wow.
Thank you, William. Florent, Pierre, would you like to ask your questions?
Of course. I was wondering, your in your website, you are talking about your connector. You have like a sensor connector. Does it works on every cloud platform, like in GCP, AWS, or any other cloud platform?
So the sensor for the moment is not supposed to be working on all the cloud platforms, no. So the one we've been able to integrate with for the moment is Amazon, and we haven't made connectors to the others. But this is the advantage of when you've developed your AI from scratch, meaning that no matter what kind of format, we can adapt to even retrain our models to another format of data.
Okay, thanks.
And from a business perspective, who are your customer? Who are you targeting?
So we're targeting for medium to large size companies, but we also work with distributors. And so we sell our product to them, and then the distributor will be the person who will be surveilling the network. Yeah.
Thank you so much, William. Our next startup is BitAhoy, and Marius will be presenting their project.
Yes, I will. Give me a moment. Imagine that it's your job to keep a company secure in the presence of professional hacker groups, state-sponsored actors, and even ongoing war in Europe, which sadly also became a reality this year. Now imagine that you have to pull off this task during a global recession that forces you to explain budget for deep technology to your boss. Well, these are the current challenges chief information security officers face. I'm Marius Blythe, co-founder and COO of Bitterhoy, and we provide CISOs with actionable insights they need to secure their company. Cybersecurity management is a complex, disconnected patchwork of numerous systems. The average CISO has 16 different dashboards to look at on a daily basis. There is no way one person can be an expert at using all of those tools and at the same time communicate cybersecurity strategy in economic terms. However, 88% of companies see cybersecurity as a business risk, but the board of directors is rarely involved in those decisions. Therefore, the modern CISO has to translate between security operations and C-level management. Bitterhoy bridges this gap by translating cyber risk into business terms that help prioritize security management. Our platform enables CISOs to identify the true value of their security, cybersecurity specifically, and therefore make the most of their infrastructure. We identify a company's top cyber risks and maximize the value of your current security assets. We are a German-Israeli startup team based in Germany and are more than excited to talk more about our solution. On the screen, you see a QR code. Feel free to scan it and book a short meeting with me so that I can explain you even more about Bitterhoy.
Thank you, Marius. Pierre, Florent, would you like to take it?
Yes, of course. Yeah, thanks very much. I have a question. Okay, we have a SIEM where we put all the logs, and but honestly, at the end, it's just a nightmare because it's all the good information are added by false positive. How you manage this to have a proper dashboard that gives you the right information in the right time?
So initially, we do also expect that there will be some sort of false positives. However, in comparison to a SIEM, it's not our standard to really summarize everything about your cybersecurity status. Instead, we are really focusing on taking your infrastructure, that is just generally which tools you use, and trying to identify what is the most relevant risk for you and what could be a potential impact there. And initially, obviously, we will work a lot with ranges, and there will be some probability always factored in. And we hope that as the product matures, we can narrow that down and nail our matrices even more.
Okay. And one more question. It's okay. If at the end I have a very nice dashboard that resumes everything I have in my infrastructure as a CISO, is there a way, do you provide as well a kind of dashboard I can give to my CEO, which more he wants more about performance and how does it work every time, but no more technical?
Yes, we have implemented a permission system, and we see it as kind of a pyramid in the end of the day, where at the very top you have C-level management, where we aspire to be completely non-techy and actually a lot more economic, that is just talking in dollars, the language they understand. In the middle, you would have a CISO, who is basically between, at the bottom, spoiler, you have like the security operations, the actual tech stuff, and we do definitely plan to make the communication such that you can communicate to your CEO, to your board in the language they understand, which we believe is economic terms.
Thanks.
You mentioned that you get back basically all the information in let's say created manner to the CISO, but do you provide any action points for them to, let's say, improve on their current infrastructure and mitigate potential risks that may arise?
Yes, actually, we want only to display actionable information. That is, i.e., that you have performed a certain cybersecurity strategy, and based on, say, like integrations for ticket systems, you see that after you have performed security awareness for phishing, we can see that in the next half year, the tickets regarding phishing attempts have decreased. So what we want to do is to identify exactly such scenarios and basically then propose and learn, and based on that such solutions actually work, actually have an impact.
Great. Thank you, Marius, for being here and presenting your project. Now, we would like to hear from Arnaud to introduce his project and their way.
Good, thanks. So we've seen amazing solution today, so thanks everybody. This solution, they're focused on protecting technical assets or data or processes. At Another Way, we focus on people, on their protection. Let's look at the threats. Social engineering, scam, frauds, everything that happens every day for phishing, to get your bank account for fraud, and so on and so forth. When you look at the cyber attacks, 70 to 80% of these attacks leverage people vulnerabilities. And executives, people in the finance industry, are 12 times more targeted than others. So there is a key element there. If you protect your technical asset, the weakest link now is your people, it's your employees, it's your exec. So you have to change the way you look at your asset, at your key assets. And your key assets, these are your colleagues. These are you were talking about people in a SOC, and so on and so forth. So we want to focus on these people to protect them. So whenever you look at the internet, the dark web, the deep web, the social networks, every one of us do leave information, addresses, emails, photo, pictures, OBs, and so on. All this information will be used by hackers against you. And because of data leaks, data breaches, a lot of information regarding your social security number, about your IBAN or SWIFT number will be available for hackers. So we have built a SaaS platform to uncover all this data, all this digital footprint that will be used by a hacker. So we really leverage this approach, this offensive security approach, to create not only awareness, but real conscious, real risk assessment for a company. We have a dashboard for the risk manager, for the fraud manager, for the CISO, for him to assess, okay, who are the people at risk in my company. If you see, I don't know, in the most 100, in the first 100 employees, your COMEX, your executive, of course, you're going to take specific action with them. If you see your trainees, you will have another type of actions. The point is, we will bring you all this information so that you see their personal attack surface. Then we have another application, individual application, a web app, where everyone will see his personal digital footprint, and he will be able to add some private information about his emails, his phone number, for instance. Everything is protected. It's GDPR compliant. One of our key expertise is a legal expertise. And the point is, we see our customers, they do reduce their personal risk by 2/3 in 48 hours. So this is what we propose. And I'm Arnaud Gardin, the Business Development Director. And we work as well with partnerships to create traction, for instance, with banks, with insurance company, and with companies with sensitive information and activities.
Thank you, Arnaud. Florent, Pierre, you can ask your questions now.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, I have a question. Okay, so you assess social media behavior, and okay, I assume more you are high on the company, more you are targeted. But does the social media behavior change the perimeter of the attacks? And can you predict if you have a profile that's who has the most chance to be hacked?
You don't need to look at the behavior. You just need to have a look at some information that are already available. Meaning, if I see your friends on Facebook or your hobbies because they are not in private, are going to be able to create dedicated phishing attack, and my chance of success will be very high. If, for instance, I have some other information from a data leak, because I don't know, your own company or one of your supplier has been hacked and there is a data breach, and I know your physical address, I will send you maybe a letter with a QR code to scan, moving to a fake website, etc., asking you your bank accounts. Okay, so the more information you have, the riskier you are.
Okay, but does that mean you then do you provide like a best practice to the users?
Yes.
At the end?
Yeah, at the end. So we have this dashboard for you, GDPR compliant. The entry point will be the professional email. Okay, because it's your own asset in your company. But then on the web app, not only you will see the information available on the various leaks, you will be alerted when there is a new leak with all the information that are visible, but you will also have a tutorial or an info just saying, okay, you need to change your password, or here is how you can configure your Facebook account so that your friends can't be seen by anyone. So here it's an awareness point with a compelling event. Okay.
Thanks.
From an end user perspective, basically, if I understand well, you have the employee have to play the game in a way, right? And how do they feel about being monitored? You know, I don't necessarily want to have my employer monitor what I do on social media.
Good point. There is a masterclass at the beginning when we deploy the application. In this masterclass, we're going to explain them very clearly that the tool is here to protect them. And because we're going to tell them that this information is available for all hackers. So either they move, either they act on their personal digital footprint, or someone will do it for them. Okay, so we see a change, really a change in behavior, because there is sometimes, trade unions and so on and so forth. They're very shy about this approach. But once they understand, once they see a hacking live session, they understand that, okay, they're going to protect their company, their organization, but they're going to protect themselves as well, their family, their friends, their children, and so on and so forth.
Thank you, Arnaud. Sorry, we ran out of time, so we can't take any more questions. I would like to ask Misha to present next and introduce us to Atmosec.
Hello, my name is Misha Seltzer. I'm CTO at Atmosec, and we're doing SaaS ecosystem security. So in today's companies, SaaS plays a major role. A lot of the critical data and sensitive information of the company is stored in different SaaS services. Sometimes those are larger services like Microsoft 365 or Salesforce or Slack or GitHub, but also sometimes smaller SaaS services. It's very common in a company to see people use services like Calendly that help them schedule calendar invites more easily without really thinking about those people sharing all their calendar information with a third-party company called Calendly that maybe is not up to the security standards of the company. As an example for an attack, for a SaaS attack that I want to bring up here in the 2 minutes that I have, I want to talk a little bit about SaaS supply chains attacks. In order to attack my organization, the attackers don't necessarily have to attack my organization directly. They can attack some SaaS service that stores important and sensitive information of my organization, and this way get to me. As an example, in March this year, HubSpot was breached. And the statement that HubSpot put out is, and I'm reading the quote, is the investigation of the bad actors' activity confirmed that this was a targeted attack focused on customers in the cryptocurrency industry. So basically, a bad actor wanted to breach and get information from cryptocurrency companies. Instead of going and hacking those directly, they hacked HubSpot, which in that case was a simpler solution. In this world, when I want to protect my organization, I have to protect not just my organization and what has access to it, but also understand how my data is stored in the different SaaS services and be able to know how those different SaaS services are acting on my behalf. So our solutions gives you visibility, insight, protection and remediation around SaaS services that store this sensitive information of your organization. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Misha. Florent, what would you like to ask Atmosec?
Yeah, thank you, Misha. I have a couple of questions. First, how do you implement your security in every environment? That means you have to be integrated in every SaaS solution I have in my company.
This is a great question. So the interesting point is that you don't really need to be integrated in every SaaS service. You just need to be integrated into the major SaaS services that usually what we call the SaaS platforms that host other integrations. So as an example, with Calendly, if I'm integrated into your Microsoft 365, I can see what Calendly reads from your Outlook, what it writes to your Outlook. And this way, I already know what happens with Calendly, what data it has, when it acts, how it acts, where the data coming from in terms of IPs. And this way, I don't need to integrate with Calendly to know what it has on your organization. As such, you only need to integrate us with between 5 and 15, maybe such platforms to get full visibility into your ecosystem.
Okay, so I think you have responded to my second question, but that's the way you deal when you want to detect new third part. We are implementing. You are dealing with the main one and detect everything new.
Yes, and it's also auto discovery. So you know that you have Microsoft 365. You connect that to this. We discover a lot of other services. We might also discover another service that we have connector for. So for example, we'll discover Salesforce and we'll let you know, click here to also integrate Atmosec to Salesforce. It's a one-click thing. You click on it, you see permissions, you do okay. And now we also see Salesforce and all the sales infrastructure that you have in your SaaS. And then you do the same for GitHub or GitLab, and we see all your CI/CD pipelines and everything around.
And so you have a lot of connectors, because every time if I use, for example, Office 365 as a directory, so they have they call enterprise application. When you want to connect like LastPass or something else like that, you automatically will find this and assess it as well. No?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I also would be quite interested about the business model that you have and how do you price it?
So we price it based on the size of the company, based on number of full-time employees. I'll just say that with the sheer amount of SaaS services that we find that IT did not know about that are in the company to begin with, it's really hard to price it by the amount of SaaS services you have, which is really the thing that costs us the storage and processing money. But we don't want to price it based on something that the buyer will not know in advance. And that's, we do it by the size of the company.
And I would assume that you have a SaaS business model yourself, right?
Yes.
Thanks, Misha.
Thank you very much.
Well, we have one more, last but not least, startup. Ruby will be talking about Scribe. Ruby, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for staying with me so late. So imagine you are the product security leader of an enterprise. One of your customers calls you during the weekend, maybe in the middle of the night, and says that the recent software update you provided them is responsible for a severe security breach that compromised their business. An hour later, your CEO calls you because he received 3 more calls claiming the same from your top clients. What would you do now? Software is the backbone of modern economies and innovation, but software is vulnerable and is constantly under attack. The story I told you actually happened during the recent Log4j and SolarWinds mega hacks. Software supply chain security of commercial and open source software has become a growing concern for both enterprises and governments. The typical software factory includes millions of ever-changing lines of code, thousands of external dependencies, and dozens of development tools. And the final artifact, as you know, is basically a black box. So how should you manage trust in such a complex setup? Enters Scribe. Scribe provides a software trust hub that attests to the integrity of your code components and artifacts, your development tools, and SDLC processes through attestations. Attestations are signed evidence on everything that happens to your code throughout its entire life cycle. We help software producers to deliver safe and secure software and testify to the trustworthiness of their code so their customers and regulators can trust and verify it. If you want to be prepared for the call on the weekend and manage the situation successfully, you need to have the right technology already in place to prevent it from happening in the first place and to help you manage the crisis after the fact with informed decisions. I'm Ruby Arbel, CEO of Scribe Security, a startup located in Israel. Our team consists of experts in Israel and Europe with many decades of experience in cyber and cryptography. We are on a mission to create a new standard of trust in software so technology and innovation and progress can go on.
Thank you so much, Ruby.
Any questions, gentlemen?
Pierre?
Yes, of course. No, thank you. Yes, I've got 2 questions. First one, okay, you analyze code. Do you analyze as well into your CI/CD pipeline the Docker image we will push?
Yes, of course. So we have a set of sensors or collectors that we deploy throughout the pipeline. They can be agentless, they can be agent. It's really up to the case. And we take evidence, software bill of materials, or any other important evidence that is related to the code from the final image or container or artifact or whatever you're producing, and also throughout the entire life cycle of the development. So we can compare the final artifact with the code in every stage throughout the development process.
Okay, thanks. Just a quick question out of curiosity as well, because you're the only one mentioning it. You mentioned that you're backed with several cybersecurity VC. I was wondering how much have you raised? Where are you at in terms of traction? Because I would assume there's a big need for such solutions.
So we raised $7 million about a year ago. And what was the other thing that you asked? I missed.
Generally speaking, how much traction do you have? Because I would assess in a software-driven world, you know, that.
Yeah, so until late September, we didn't have general availability, so we ran on-prem with design partners, mostly banks and defense companies, etc. And now that we deployed our general availability, we see some smaller, more cloud-native companies' interest, and actually Scribe is in its core a SaaS solution, so this is what we expect to see also later. Mid-sized companies from actually from all sectors, but mostly from more mission-critical ones.
Sorry, I have the time for our last question.
Please.
How do you compare yourself as against a company like Snyk or Sonacos?
Very good question. So you could see on the slide, there are a few levels, right? So the lower level is the level that is related to the attack surfaces. So Snyk, checkmarks, Veracode, and actually 98% of the companies today that are allegedly in the software supply chain domain are in application security. And application security is really, really important, but it's not really software supply chain. It's part of software supply chain. In order to be software supply chain company, you need to have like the full suit. And Snyk is about vulnerabilities in code. Checkmarks is about vulnerability in code. Scribe is something else. This is an evolution from application security to software supply chain. So we are not a scanners company. We don't do with SAST or DAST. There are like a million solutions like that. We develop a different technology that allows you to monitor the code in a different way, not to scan it, but to monitor it throughout its entire life cycle, so you can see at every stage what happened. Just a different technology doing something else.
Thank you, Ruby. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I think we are already 10 minutes over. And I'm sure Lenny wants to say a couple closing words. It was really, really nice seeing all of these 15 amazing projects. And thank you so much for our experts and investors for joining us today. If you have any questions to the startups, feel free to reach out to them afterwards. I'm sure they will be really glad to give you more information. Lenny, yes. I think closing words are yours.
Yes, so thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nikki. I just want to share with you some information, if I can share my presentation, please. We have some next roadshow on next stop. So the next stop will be in Zurich in January 18 on site. We will be on the atrium of PwC with our strategic partnership with PwC. So the next stop will be after that in Geneva and in February, and the next event will be in Wallis in March. So I just want to really give a big thank you to all our partners. So the Crypto Valley Association, the State of Zug for sure, SIX, and the Cyber Peace Institute, and a big hug to really all the startupper, because it was your first step with us, and I'm very happy to see you in the next step in Zurich. So thank you so much to all, and back to Nikki. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Have a nice evening, everyone. And see you soon in January 18th in Zurich. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.